Hello and welcome to Top Deck, the series where we take a look at some of the leading TCG deck lists. So this time we have Harry's list, which took first place at the LLDS in Norfolk, the Henchman's LLDS, and he was playing Trickstar Sky Striker with a very heavy hand trap lineup and a very interesting tech built into this. So we do have an interview with Harry, so he'll be coming on in just a minute. First off, we're going to go through the deck list itself, and we'll cover the siding strategy and the rounds together. Alright, so starting off with the list, triple Ash Blossom, triple Droll, and triple Ghost Ogre. So Ghost Ogre is probably the more unusual bit here. Triple Candina, triple Licorice, and one Lilybell. Then double Desires, triple Scapegoat, one Afterburners, one Widow Anchor, triple Hornet, triple Engage, triple Terraforming, triple Light Stage, and then the Spice comes in here with triple Enemy Controller, so we'll ask him about this, double Trickstar Reincarnation, and that's it for the 40 card main deck. For the extra deck, we have a Borreload, a Firewall, a Topologic Bomber, a Topologic Trisbana, then for the Nightmares, Unicorn, Goblin, Cerberus, and Phoenix. Then Space Insulator for the last Link 2. The Link ones, there's a Spider, Linkaribo, Hayate, one Shizuku, and two Kagari in here. For the side deck, there's one Omega as a side deck extra deck option, triple Gamma and one Driver, then triple Twisters, and one Jamming Waves for those back row heavy decks, plus triple Evenly Matched as well. So 7 cards here for siding against the back row heavy potential opponents, and then triple Dimensional Barrier. This is a little bit more unusual, but we'll ask him about this as well. Okay, so for the rounds and the siding strategy that Harry played, so round 1 he went up against Corners and went 2-0. For siding, no changes going first, going second, just putting in some back row hate basically, and taking out the enemy controls and the Droll. Droll obviously not doing very much in this particular matchup. Then he went up against Yangzing Demise, pretty interesting idea there. So no changes first, and for going second, putting in Twisters and taking out the Ogres. I imagine they were just setting a lot of back row in this instance. So anytime you think there's going to be a back row heavy deck, especially something like Anti-Spell, you just bring in those Twisters to deal with it. Then he went up against Mech Knight Invoked player, again going 2-0 here. For siding, he was putting in, well, his strategy would have been for going first, putting in triple D barrier and taking out the Ghost Ogres, which I believe is what happened. For going second, he would put in the 4 Psy-Frames, the 1 Omega, and then taking out the Ghost Ogres, which don't do too much, the Scapegoat and Trisbana, because you don't really need them when you're going second. Trisbana not doing very much in that matchup. Then he went up against Cyber Dragons in round 4, and he took a 1-1 draw here. So no changes for going second, but for going first, putting in the D barriers in order to deal with that Infinity. Then on to the top 4, he went against Blue Eyes and 2-0'd them. So no changes for against Blue Eyes. And finally, he went up against Mech Knight Invoked in the final round and 2-0'd them here. So then employing that siding strategy that we just saw there. That's it for the list and the siding strategy in rounds. Let's bring on Harry to chat about the deck. Hi Harry, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Congratulations on winning the Norfolk LLDS, it was, right?
Yeah.
The Henchman's one.
Yes.
So you went with Trickstar Sky Strikers. How did you find the event?
It was really casual. I was playing by far the most competitive deck there, but I guess you have to if you want to go and win. So,
yeah, sometimes that's the case. You just have to smash everyone else.
Yeah, like, I knew how casual it was, so I kind of built accordingly to that.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, alright then, so is that why you chose Trickstar Sky Strikers in particular, or was it just something you were comfortable with?
Like, I'm really comfortable with the deck. I had a few choices, but this was, like, the most consistent.
Yeah.
So, like, not the most powerful, but by far the most consistent, so that's why I went with that.
Yeah, sure. Alright then. So, looking at the list here, you've opted to play the 9 hand traps in the main, with the option to go up to 12 if you want to side in those gammas over something else. Is that just because there's so many, like, there's Goki around everywhere, and you thought if you went up against it you needed to just win that, even if they went turn 1?
I mean, I see it as 6 hand traps in the main, because Droll's like part of the engine in Trickstar.
Okay, yeah.
You kind of have to play that, but Yeah, Ash is staple, and Ogre's like pretty good against the Rogue. It's not always the most optimal against the best decks, but it's good against like pretty much every deck, so it does something a lot of times.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like even Goki, even like Pendulum Magician, that kind of thing, you can still at least pull off a Ghost Digger on them.
It hurts Goki sometimes more than Droll does. Like sometimes they can make the board through Droll, but like a good time Ogre they can't. So.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Alright then, so for the rest of the list, most of it is fairly standard, to be honest, except for, obviously, the 3 enemy controllers.
Yeah.
So why did you decide to play this?
It's really, really good. It tributes for cost, so like it comes up with things, if you play against Draco and they have a Rocks, you can tribute the Trisbane for cost, and it resolves away, so it blows up all that stuff, punishes it, so it's pretty good. Nice. But apart from that, it removes the stuff like the normal Candina you do, removes it to make your Willy Iron alive.
Yeah,
so if they have 2 monsters, you can enemy controller, tribute the Candina, chain the Willy Iron.
Yeah.
So you get to take 2 things in one.
That's really cool.
Yeah, like, it's really good going first and second, which is kind of why I played it. Going first, like, if you're playing against Goki, they're playing the Dolphin, so it can take your hand traps out of the way. You can just set it with a Candina and take their assault, and then they kind of struggle from there.
Yeah, that's fair. You're denying them 2 link materials plus that extra one, which they'd get off the effect. That's pretty huge.
Yeah, it's really versatile. Like, especially against Rogue as well, like, you can't really out a Blue Eyes, so taking the Blue Eyes is pretty good.
Yeah. Damn those monsters with more than 1800 attack.
Yeah, I mean, the Sky Strike engine helps with that, but enemy control is just like a third anchor, and like, no one sees it coming, so...
Yeah, that's really cool. And did you ever use it to take someone's monster for game then? Or did that never come up?
Usually I just take their stuff to link away with.
Yeah.
But against like invoked, like they normally Alistair, they search invocation, activate invocation, you just take their Alistair.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then like they're in a lot of trouble then.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool sort of usage for this card, because obviously we haven't seen it come up very much. Well, at least not on the series.
Some lists are using it. Like, I didn't go with the Mech Knights because they're more for the mirror, and I didn't expect to really see any mirrors, so I thought I'd just take this.
Yeah, sure.
Like, a Nightfall can't out a Blue Eyes, but Econ can, so...
Yeah. Alright, cool. Well, yeah, so are there any other comments you want to make on the main deck, or should we move on to the extra?
Don't play Desires.
Don't play it, okay. You banish your Lily Bow.
It's not just that, it's the amount of times like you banish 2 Candina and like the 1-card engine is literally a 1-card engine from then, like it's not so great. You can't really top deck into anything if you have a bad Desires, but
I've seen a few people actually mention that. I think Tim mentioned that at Nats as well. It can just be a bit of an issue. So what would you change that for then?
The whole deck would change really, depending on what meta you're playing against. Like this weekend I'm going to another LLDS, and I know a lot of the people there play Altergeist, so I'm going to be maining Twin Twisters instead of the enemy controllers.
Okay, yeah.
And changing the Desires, yeah, probably to main Gammas. Gamma's really good.
Yeah. There are so many matchups when it just comes in.
Yeah, it's like one of the hand traps that Gookie like really struggle to play through.
Yeah, definitely. Alright, cool. So if we take a look at the extra then, so I think most of it is the kind of thing that we're used to seeing by now. Obviously you've got the Hayate in here now, since its release.
Yeah.
And then I think the one thing that I didn't know if you wanted to run, like maybe you didn't have access to it or something, was Borrow Sword, or do you think you just don't need it because you have the firewall loop?
I'm choosing not to play Borrow Sword this weekend.
Okay.
The only thing I think it would come up for is out in an Ultimate Falcon, and I don't think I need to play for that.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
The extra would change. I'd probably play 2 Link Spider.
Okay.
Because instead of Link Karibo, because some of the Sky Blaster extra links you need 2-link spider. You can't use link groover to make it. So, but Hayate's really good. Like, rarely did I attack direct with it, but being able to set up a goblin turn 1 and Candina twice, and end on a bomber with a set reincarnation and a reincarnation engrave is really good.
Yeah, that's pretty huge. Yeah,
she allows for so much. Like with her now, like Candina drones is firewall loop and blaster drones, and Candina's like a better extra link board than you was previously making with a firewall way of doing it. So.
Yeah, for sure. All right, cool. So we'll go on to the side deck then. So obviously we've gone through the whole stuff on the gammas, and then you said you wanted the twisters for like Altergeist and things.
Yeah, I'd like to note on the gammas, I probably wouldn't side the Omega.
Yeah, do you think it's just not worth it? You get the link materials anyway, right?
Yeah, I mean, it gets it off the board and out the way for your Sky Striker stuff to do stuff, but like, the extra's so tight anyway, and it feels like a waste of a side space, like what you could be using. It doesn't seem to do enough.
Okay. So. Yeah, for sure. So, well, actually, I'll ask you about the changes when we finish going through this bit. Then, okay. So then, I think the real sort of outsider for this side deck would be the Dimensional Barrier, which we haven't seen come up very much before. So why did you decide to go with this?
Like I said, I knew kind of what the meta would be there.
Okay, yeah.
I knew there was a couple of Invoke McKnights, so like Debarrier turns off the Macabre, which is quite scary.
Yeah.
Like BA isn't the easiest matchup. I mean, enemy controller makes it an easy matchup, like to get rid of the Beatrice, but
yeah,
Debarrier just kills it, so it seems pretty good. And it's just there for general rogue, really. You never know what you're going to get up against, so I wouldn't play it at a bigger event, but it was pretty good for what it did.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think like you kind of need something that's generic and doesn't cost you a lot of life points. If you're going to an LLDS in the UK, where it's just like you have no idea what you're going to face. There's so much random stuff. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right then. So, are there any changes that you'd make to the list itself?
I'm going to be playing Sky Blaster this weekend.
Yeah.
I really like that card. It's pretty broken. It's like turn 1 scapegoat, so.
Yeah, for sure.
But maining the twisters, bringing in dusters to the side.
Okay.
They're going first.
Yep.
Other than that, shared rides will be going into the side, and cherries because I'm expecting more Gookie. So.
Yeah. Okay. Just get some.
Maining the gammas.
Yeah. That gives you just that extra level of protection for when you do face them.
Yeah, like there's so many cards that you kind of have to ash or have to draw in this deck that makes Gamma worth maining. Yeah, definitely. And, like either that or Called By, and I prefer Gamma. So.
Yeah, having those. I think there was a time when having Gamma with an Omega and the extra was basically you win the game off taking those 2 cards from your opponent, but now you just use the link materials and you can just set up so much.
Gamma's really good against Dolphin that some Gookie players are playing because they have to use their normal summon on it or the Marauding Captain.
Yeah.
And then they discard a card, and if you Gamma it, they lose the Dolphin and the discard. So they've lost 2 cards, and they probably don't have enough resources to go into MX, and you just shut their turn off, which is pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. Just because sometimes like they just end up with hands where it's like they need those combo pieces to go off, especially if they've committed that normal summon.
Yeah, like that's when you know you're safe to hand trap. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Like the better players won't just throw everything onto the board; they'll play around the hand trap. So you kind of got to play around them playing around you.
Yeah. So who can outplay each other?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So a couple more things. So your final round from the LLDS was against Cyber Dragons, which sounds like a pretty intense and interesting match to play up.
Yeah, they obviously have the new cards now, so
yeah. So,
quite cool.
Well, yeah. Was that how was that experience overall? Was there any major issue that you found with playing against them, or do you think it's all fine?
It's not a hard matchup at all. like game one, I didn't open that well and I got outgrinded. Like you shouldn't lose grinding to Cyber Dragons, but sometimes if you use all your stuff to outlight the Infinity, and sometimes one Cyber Dragon's like too hard to get over.
Yeah.
In the late game with Trickstar, so
Too much attack.
yeah, that's certainly is
Actually,
it.
same problem. Yeah.
But otherwise, like if you open up fine, because they make you go first most of the time. Like
Yeah.
if you open up fine, then you should be okay.
All right, cool. Yeah, it's just good to get that get some sense of what it's like to play against that deck, because obviously it hasn't been particularly popular up until just the recent release of Psycho, and
Yeah.
always interesting to see how that kind of stuff evolves over time.
I mean, it's another one where enemy controller's just really good against, because they want to summon the Cyber Dragon and then use your Sky Striker in the extra monster zone to make Mega Fleet, but if you just take their Cyber Dragon, then
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty mean.
like enemy controller's the MVP of the deck.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently you're just taking away everyone's all-important fusion materials with this thing, so...
Yeah, like, it's really good.
Yeah, cool. Alright, so, last major question from me. What was your, what do you find are the hardest and the easiest matchups to play against when you're using this build?
Hardest matchups with this build, probably Altergeist, because you don't main, like, Twisters, so it's pretty tough. Draco's still really hard because Floodgates are still a thing.
Yeah.
And like with no main deck outs to the Floodgates, like you're probably not having a fun time.
Yeah, for sure. I guess you'd have to do really weird stuff with like afterburners killing your own monster.
Yeah. I mean, enemy controller's fine against Draco, because obviously the Trisbane thing or the Phoenix tributing away under Erupt is pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
But like taking a Dynamite's also not bad for the turn. But Gookie's like a fine matchup. Like you have enough hand traps already in the main, and you can put like way more in through the side.
Yeah.
And like if you go first, you have enough disruption. Like with the enemy controllers, the Reincarnation's really good disruption against the deck. Widow Anchor.
Yep.
So like with a hand trap or two and any of those like cards that are interrupt, like they can't always play through it. So
Yeah.
and then you've got enough like power turn 2 just to push through and do a lot of damage. So
Yeah, definitely. All right, cool. And so what's the easiest then? Or is that the
out of the meta, probably Gookie.
Yeah. You're just prepared for it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fragile. Like if it goes off, it wins, but if it doesn't, like it really loses. So
Yeah.
but I've not really played against too much Pendulum Magician, but like I don't really see it being that much of a problem.
Yeah, I think if you have enough answers to stop them making the first Electromite, or just answer the first Electromite, you generally win off
Just take their Electromite.
Yeah, exactly.
Just enemy controller's really good.
Well, that's actually horrific for them then, because even when they get it back, it's still pointing to their spell and trap zones.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, okay. Enemy controller's looking like a very good card at the moment then.
It is very good. Yeah.
Alright, cool. Well, congratulations on getting first place at the Norfolk LLDS then.
Thank you very much.
Are there any shout-outs that you'd like to make?
I'm going to shout out the people at Athena at Norwich. That's where the LLDS this weekend is. They were pretty cool there. And shout out Team Shift, because they're my friends. So.
Oh, nice. Cool. Yeah, we've had a lot of them on in the past.
Yeah, very good players. Very good players.
Definitely. Alright, cool. Well, thanks very much for sharing all this information with us. And hopefully we'll see you on the channel again.
Yeah, hope so. Thank you very much.
If you're looking to play competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! But you don't have the money for an expensive deck, or there aren't any events happening near you, then Dueling Book Prize Tournaments is a brand new way to take part in competitive events from your own home. This is a Facebook group dedicated to running Premier level events, offering incredible prizes for cheap entry, and you don't even have to buy your own cards. As an example of just how high-end these tournaments will be, the winner of the first 32-person single elimination event will receive a super rare YCSW Giant Hand worth around £250, As a result, these events will include some of the greatest players of the TCG regions, and the roster is already filling up with giants of the game. For your chance to get involved in these tournaments, head over to the Facebook page by following the link in the description, and good luck in those events. Hopefully you do really well, and bring your decks onto Top Deck. Thanks for watching this episode of Top Deck. If you have any comments or suggestions that you would like to make, leave them in the comment section down below. Check out the description for details of how you can get involved in this series. You can enter by voice interview, or instead you could just send all of your information over Facebook Messenger. Anything like that will be absolutely fine. If you want to see anything in particular from the upcoming series, then be sure to get in touch, and I'll see you guys in the next video.